Pipes must flow.
Sure is never done.
corner we turn, a new friend in tow. It's time to start the magic on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show. See the sights, so much to know. Across the lands, hand in hand, we join the flow. Discover wonders in the Globus Show, where every day's a brand new episode. On the Globus Show, on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show. On the Globus Show, on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show. On the Globus Show, on the Globus Show, on the Globus Show, on the Globus Show, on the Globus
Good morning, Twitch. Good morning, bots. Good morning, lurkers. Morning, good morning, good morning. Morning, Stampy. You coming up? Probably at a less opportune time. Happy Wednesday, my dudes. I hope everyone is having as an enjoyable Wednesday as you possibly can. Bit of a lighter news day today. Not a whole lot happened. What are you doing? Okay. So, yeah, might as well get to it. But you settled? You good? You cool? Yeah, buddy. Okay. So, starting off with Elon Musk ordered NVIDIA to ship thousands of AI chips reserved for Tesla to X and XAI. Morning Zero. Ow. Dude. Kitty scritches. Kitty scritches. Okay. Elon Musk says he can grow Tesla into a leader in AI and robotics. An ambition, he said, will require a lot of pricey processors from NVIDIA to build up its infrastructure. On Tesla's first quarter earnings call in April, Musk said the electric vehicle company will increase the number of H100s, NVIDIA's flagship artificial intelligence chip, from 35,000 to 85,000 by the end of this year. He also wrote in a post on X a few days later that Tesla would spend $10 billion this year in combined training and inference AI. 18 months tops. But emails written by NVIDIA senior staff and widely shared inside the company suggest that Musk presented an exaggerated picture of Tesla's procurement to shareholders. Correspondence from NVIDIA staffers also indicates that Musk diverted a sizable portion from the top. The tip of the teeth and the tongue. The tip of the teeth and the tongue. Just read the words that are on the page, dude. Musk diverted a sizable shipment of AI processors that had been reserved for Tesla to his social media company X, formerly known as Twitter. Tesla shares slipped as much as 1% on the news Tuesday morning. By ordering NVIDIA to let privately held X jump the line ahead of Tesla, Musk pushed back the automaker's receipt more than $500 million in graphics processing units by months, likely adding to delays in setting up the supercomputers Tesla says it needs to develop autonomous vehicles and humanoid robots. Elon prioritizing X H100 GPU cluster deployment at X versus Tesla by redirecting 12K of shipped H100 GPUs originally slated for Tesla to X instead. An NVIDIA memo from December said. In exchange, original X orders of 12K H100 slated for January and June to be directed to Tesla. A more recent NVIDIA email from late April said Musk's comment on the first quarter Tesla call conflicts with bookings, and that his April post on X about $10 billion in AI spending also conflicts with bookings and fiscal year 2025 forecasts. The email referenced news about Tesla's ongoing drastic layoffs and warned that headcount reductions could cause further delays with an H100 project at Tesla's Texas Gigafactory. I feel like this is theft. As Tesla is public and X is private, then functionally he stole from the shareholders for himself. I don't disagree, Zero. I mean, this can't possibly be, legitimate, but it might be legal. It's definitely unethical. The legal portion is for people who know more about this. Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's definitely shenanigans. Morning, Dramalama. Is Tesla broke? I mean, and they're probably not broke, but they're definitely a mess. Their organization is definitely a mess. The new information from the emails, read by CNBC, highlights an escalating conflict between Musk and some agitated Tesla shareholders who question whether the billionaire CEO is fulfilling his obligations to Tesla while also running a collection of other companies that require his attention, resources, and hefty amounts of capital. And that is another thing, right? Like, however you feel about CEOs and capitalism in general, um, CEOs generally run a single company. They don't run a whole bunch of companies, and the shareholders from a public company are going to have strong opinions on the behavior of that CEO when the profits fall. If he's able to do this and everyone still makes money, you probably hear nothing. But because the shares of Tesla are going down, 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 it's questionable like how long they're going to tolerate this and what tools they have at their disposal. A spokesperson for NVIDIA declined to comment for the story. Musk and representatives for X and Tesla did not respond to requests for comment. Dude. Critics have said Musk is only a part time CEO of Tesla, the company responsible for the vast majority of his wealth. Musk is also the CEO of SpaceX, founder of Brain Computer of Neuralink. You know what Neuralink is, and the tunneling venture Boring Company. Though I don't know what Boring has done since the setup for that first Hyperloop, which is going so well. Part of Tesla's problem, Musk aside, is their pricing model only worked when they were the only slash best EV in town. Yeah, and that was the thing. Like they chose a route, right? Like they chose to be the luxury car market for EVs, and um, like if you go all the way back to like when Ford um did the morning pita. I'm not sure. I'm sure you have to have $1 billion in order to be a part-time CEO. Um, you go all the way back to when Ford did that kind of thing. The other companies that eventually took market share away from Ford did so because of the inflexibility of Ford to move beyond certain things, like when Ford said customer can have the Model T in any color they like as long as it's black. That kind of thinking. Um, so what you ended up with is, on one hand, you had other established car companies that started to also make luxury SUVs, and then you have Chinese companies that are making um, more economy models of EVs, right? So you're getting pinched on both ends. So yeah, you're not wrong, Zero. Like when they had when they could hide behind exclusivity um and that their name itself held value. Okay. And when their name itself had value, those two things made Tesla strong. But now you're just another EV company and you're not a very good one at that. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing is I think that had there been, or still could be, I mean it's not that far, but had somebody been working to do like those little smart cars, they're little two-seater joints and they're like half the size of a normal car or even smaller. They're little, right? But they're perfect for like that kind of, yes, I understand mass transit, that would be great. In the meantime, um, having little smart cars that just have to go like within um, within a small range. It's like how far do people actually go for their commute, generally speaking? Now I know some go farther than others and whatnot. Um, but just that kind of thing. I feel like there's a hell of a lot of room for a really cheap electric vehicle car company um, to make a big splash. Um, but I doubt, especially with the Chinese imports getting the huge tariff. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then there's another feature that you're talking about. Parking is an issue, and with smart cars being small, then you automatically create more parking in that regard. Well, X and XAI are tightly intertwined. In a post in on X in November, Musk wrote X Corp investors will own 25% of XAI. Additionally, XAI uses some capacity in X data centers to run some of its training and inference for the large language models behind its chatbot Grok. Musk has pitched Grok, originally named Truth GPT, as a politically incorrect chatbot with a rebellious streak and would be competitor to OpenAI's ChatGPT and other generative AI models. While Musk juggles his many ventures, Tesla shareholders have reasons for concern. The company is in the midst of a troubling sales decline due in part to its aging lineup of electric vehicles and increased competition. Reputation has also suffered in the U.S., according to the Axios Harris Poll 100 survey, which attributed some of the slippage to Musk's antics and political rants. Tesla's stock price is down 29% this year. There's a particular size to that Overton window of what you can say as a CEO and still, have investors be comfortable, and that Overton window shifts. But yeah, Musk has been way outside of it, and there's a lot of things that he has done on X which make investors uncomfortable. Now you feel about that however you want. Um, it has to do with like the sensibilities of society as a whole, not your individual opinions on free speech and yada yada yada. All right. Um, got a trio of articles here put in the Discord by the homie Red Hobbit. Thank you. Shout out Red Hobbit. OpenAI insiders warn of a reckless race for dominance. A group of current and former employees are calling for sweeping changes to the artificial intelligence industry, including greater transparency and protections for whistleblowers. A group of OpenAI insiders is blowing the whistle on what they say is a culture of recklessness and secrecy at the San Francisco artificial intelligence company, which is racing to build the most powerful AI systems ever created. The group, which includes 9 current and former OpenAI employees, has rallied in recent days around shared concerns that the company has not done enough to prevent its AI systems from becoming dangerous. Now, I am not this. We're going to continue to read. We're going to read some of it because, for obvious reasons here. Um, and then we'll click that link, and hopefully that takes us somewhere interesting. Um, there's about 800 people who work at OpenAI. And this is a group of 9. So, yeah, or let's say 10%, right? A little over 10%. Or not 10%, 1%, excuse me. A little over 1%. Now, I'm not saying that these people are wrong. I'm not saying that anything that they are saying is incorrect and that they're, anything about this, right? Different people feel different ways about artificial intelligence and artificial general intelligence and how we should, pursue it. There are accelerationists who think that we should be pedaled to the metal and just full bore going for it. And all the way to people who think we need to just stop, right? And people fall in that different range. Um, the idea that 1% of the people at a company might not feel confident in the way that the company is directing its AI creation efforts is not an unreasonable number, right? It actually strikes me potentially as a little low. Again, it doesn't mean that they are right and other people are wrong. It just means that within the broad spectrum of opinion regarding what we should be doing and like how safe do these things need to be, et cetera, et cetera, you can end up with 1% of dissenters easily. Like you could do that, I think, anywhere across anything. Um, what we'll have to see is if now that like because there was the provision in the contract that said if you say anything negative about OpenAI, then you can lose your stock investment in the company. Uh, and Sam Altman pulled that off the table publicly. So now people are more free to speak their mind, which is a good thing. We'll see if this number go up, right? If number go up, then it adds more credibility to the possibility. If number doesn't go up, then it's possible that this is as I previously stated. We just have to wait and see. Um, the members say OpenAI, which started as a nonprofit research lab and burst into public view with ChatGPT, is putting a priority on profits and growth as it tries to build artificial general intelligence, or AGI, the industry term for a computer program capable of doing anything a human can. They also claim that OpenAI has used hardball tactics to prevent workers from voicing their concerns about the technology, including restrictive non disparagement agreements that departing employees were asked to sign. So this we just talked about this, right? Like this is not news. We've looked at this. Um, OpenAI is really excited about building AGI, and they are recklessly racing to be the first there. Daniel Cocotalo, I'm going to go with J, sounds like H, Cocotalo, a former researcher at OpenAI's governance division and one of the group's organizer. The group published an open letter on Wednesday. Oh, all right. Um, Open AI whistleblower. See, and this is the thing. Like, this is why this, right? You're going to put this behind a paywall. I'm going to go somewhere else and get the exact same story for free. It's just foolish. All you're doing is you're restricting access to your particular publication and your, ad revenue from the ads that appear. Anywho, um, OpenAI employees do. These risks range from further entrenchment of existing inequalities to manipulating and misinformation to the loss of control of autonomous AI systems, potentially resulting in human extinction, reads the letter published at righttowarn.ai. So long as there is no effective government oversight of these corporations, current and former employees are among the few people who can hold them accountable. The letter calls for not just OpenAI, but all AI companies to commit to not punishing employees who speak out about their activities. It also calls for companies to establish verifiable ways for workers to provide anonymous feedback on their activities. Ordinary whistleblower protections are insufficient because they focus on illegal activities, whereas many of the risks we're concerned about are not yet regulated. Some of us reasonably fear various forms of retaliation given the history of such cases across the industry. It's not a long letter. We're going to read the whole thing. A right to warn about advanced artificial intelligence. We are current and former employees at frontier AI companies, and we believe in the potential of AI technology to deliver unprecedented benefits to humanity. We also understand the serious risks posed by these technologies. These risks range from the further entrenchment entrenchment of existing inequalities. This is definitely an issue, right? Um, whether it's the potential for um, the income inequality and wealth inequality to various racial and gender and so on and so forth biases that exist within the data set. Now, the data set issues can be tackled. Um, the wealth inequality will depend on deployment, right, and how the socioeconomic system looks going forward. To manipulation and misinformation, this is a thing that exists. I don't know. I don't know. I know that there have been some shenanigans around the India election. Also, I think the most recent Pakistan election. I'm not sure. Like, you would have to do some serious study around how this is actually being deployed compared to pre AI manipulation and misinformation that was already out there. You know what I mean? Like, again, going to QAnon and ivermectin and all these other kind of things. To the loss of control of autonomous AI systems, potentially resulting in human extinction. Yes, right? I think that this is not as big an issue as people claim it to be, especially as compared to other things like, human caused climate change and, that kind of rampant stuff. Morning holiday. Um, but they're operating within a specific area. And again, I don't think Skynet's going to wipe us all out. AI companies themselves have acknowledged these risks, as have governments across the world and other AI experts. We are hopeful that these risks can be adequately mitigated with sufficient guidance from the scientific community, policymakers, and the public. However, AI companies have strong financial incentives to avoid effective oversight. We do not believe bespoke structures of corporate governance are sufficient to change this. Agreed. AI companies possess substantial non public information about the capabilities and limitations of their systems, the adequacy of their protective measures, and the risk levels of different kinds of harm. However, they currently only have weak obligations to share some of this information with governments and none with civil society. We do not think they can be relied on to share it voluntarily. So long as there is no effective government oversight of these corporations, current and former employees are among the few people who can hold them accountable to the public. Yet broad confidentiality agreements block us from voicing our concerns, except to the very companies that may be failing to address these issues. Ordinary whistleblower protections are insufficient because they focus on illegal activity, whereas many of these risks we are concerned about are not yet regulated. Some of us reasonably fear of various forms of retaliation. Given the history of such cases across the industry, we are not the first to encounter or speak about these issues. We therefore, I love a good therefore, call upon advanced AI companies to commit to these principles. Number one, that the company will not enter into or enforce any agreement that prohibits disparagement or criticism of the company for risk related concerns, nor retaliate for risk related criticism by hindering any vested economic benefit. That the number two, that the company will facilitate a verifiably anonymous process for current and former employees to raise risk related concerns to the company's board, to regulators, and to an appropriate independent organization with relevant expertise. Number three, that the company will support a culture of open criticism and allow its current and former employees to raise risk related concerns about its technologies to the public, to the company's board, to regulators, or to an appropriate independent organization with relative expertise, so long as trade secrets and other intellectual property interests are appropriately protected. And finally, number four, that the company will not retaliate against current and former employees who publicly share risk related confidential information about other processes have failed after other processes have failed. We accept that any effort to report risk related concerns should avoid releasing confidential information unnecessarily. Therefore, once an adequate process for anonymously raising concerns to the company board, to regulators, and to an appropriate independent organization with relevant expertise exists, we accept that concerns should be raised through such a process initially. However, as long as such a process does not exist, current and former employees should retain their freedom to report their concerns to the public. Okay, Jacob Hilton. Yes. These are a handful of people. Mostly OpenAI. You got a Google DeepMind, who was at Anthropic, and then someone who was at Google DeepMind. And it's endorsed by Yashua Bengio, Jeffrey Hinton, those two out of the big three. Good morning, Red Hobbit. Two out of the big three. What do they call them? Godfathers of AI, along with Jan LeCun, and then Stuart Russell, who has done a lot in the field, and written some books. I believe is a professor, that kind of thing. These are some big names to be attached to it. I don't see anything in here that's unreasonable. We'll have to see if anybody voluntarily does this kind of behavior. Because again, I don't think we're anywhere near federal oversight on that level. Okay, so on Monday we watched some video about 3D printed homes, and when can I have one? The world's largest 3D printer is building cozy homes from wood. Okay, new. Dozens of 3D printed homes have been built across the world to house a family in the U.S. state of Virginia or members of an impoverished community in rural Mexico. The world's largest 3D printed neighborhood is currently under construction outside of Austin, Texas. The technology could be especially handy in a place like the U.S. state of Maine, where approximately 80,000 new homes will be needed by 2030 to address a shortage, according to a report released last year by three state agencies. Now, there is always the issue of, yeah, you want to talk about market capture and everything else. Is there actually a lack of supply in Maine, or is it an issue that it's all been bought up by institutional investors and therefore, because this is adding more housing that's going to be eaten up by those institutional investors rather than become available for people, individuals and families to buy a house, then you know this is the ongoing issue. um People can't find homes. They're very expensive. We have an aging population. So there's less and less people who are electricians, plumbers, or builders. Um, Habib Dagher, director of the University of Maine Advanced Structures and Composites Center. He said he's got a solution. Last month, the ASCC unveiled what it says is the world's first polymer 3D printer. Dagger hopes the so called Factory of the Future 1.0 can help address the state's housing crisis and revolutionize 3D home printing in the process. The approach we've taken is quite different from what you've seen and you've been reading about for years. In recent years, 3D printing has been used to build everything from businesses to bridges to mosques. One nonprofit is even working on printing schools in a war zone. Dubai, in the UAE, holds the Guinness World Record for the world's biggest 3D printed structure. It aims to have 25% of new buildings constructed with 3D printing technology by 2030. Great majority of current printing relies on concrete, with a robot arm equipped with a nozzle layering wet concrete into the right shape. ASCC is flipping the script. Its giant printer and its predecessor, which in 2019 was certified by Guinness as the largest prototype polymer 3D printer, are the only printers building homes with wood residuals. Okay, so I and this is my guess was something along the same lines as MDF. If you're not familiar with like MDF is basically you have sawdust and like some kind of glue, and you mix the sawdust and the glue together, and then you press it out into this board, and then that board can be used for a lot of wood stuff. Now, it does poorly when exposed to water. It tends to inflate all the wood particles and come apart fairly quickly. But you probably got MDF in your home right now. Especially, you can find MDF sometimes being used in the IKEA style build it at home furniture. It's also really easy to work with. Um, and I'm one of those weirdos who thinks it smells nice when you cut it. The technology has already been tested. Gonna gonna be chill. Gonna be chill. Chill, dude. Technology has already been tested. In late 2022, the university unveiled BioHome 3D, a 600 square foot single family unit, which it says is the world's first 100% bio based 3D printed home built from local wood fiber and bioresin materials. When they're doing concrete, they're only printing the walls. Um, Says Dogger. He added that the floor, roof, and walls of the BioHome 3D were all printed. Concrete homes also need to be built on site. That can be problematic, especially during the snowy New England winter. When the weather goes bad for 2 weeks at a time, you can't print. Okay, so like, you could build this on site, maybe. I don't know how it does with weather, right? Like, that, I know very little about this. But wood being much lighter than concrete, it's not unreasonable that you could build this by section and then cart it on trucks to the site and then assemble it on site. The new printer can produce objects as large as 96 feet long by 32 feet wide by 18 feet high, can print up to 500 pounds per hour. Dagger says the goal is to be able to print 1,000 pounds of material in an hour. At that rate, it could reproduce the Biohomes 3D in 48 hours. That would be comparable to what we saw in the video on the concrete 3D printed. If they can reach the target, their 3D printed homes will be very competitive with current housing construction costs. That also true. But it can be difficult to process wood materials at such high speed. Even ASCC's record breaking printer sometimes jams. While printing Biohomes 3D, for example, the printer stopped working due to a dust buildup. No one's ever done this before with these kind of materials. So it's like, I mean, again, I'm not, you know, I don't feel ways about stuff not working 100% on frontier technologies. Um, so, Biohome 3D's warm wooden floors and walls give it a look of a sleek, modern, Scandinavian inspired log cabin. Many people feel concrete is a cold thing to look at, and it's not necessarily where you want to live. The Biohome 3D is very warm and inviting. It's also sustainable. When a home is no longer needed or wanted, it can be ground up and used to print something else. ASCC is using wood residuals from Maine sawmills in its research and looking into scaling up production using these local byproducts. So yeah, it is a kind of MDF kind of press board material, um, and cool, right? Cool, cool, cool. And the third from Red Hobbit, relevant again to the video we watched the other day. This is a device. Now, this is Design Boom. Is this an actual product or is it just a design? There are some websites that just do design ideas, not necessarily something that's in um in any way an actual product, right? Thought it was a product, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm yeah, like again, I don't have a problem with the design because that guy talked about this kind of thing in the video. Um, but it's distinctly possible it's a design item as opposed to a product. But we'll take a look. Good morning, Cosmic. Marco Lazik, an architect turned tech startup founder, introduces Off Phone. Really? A 3D printed phone with an e ink display that only runs essential apps such as calls, text, messaging platforms, and even taxi services. So this idea at least is meeting in that middle space, right? It's a little more than just your basic, you know, um, old model flip phone burner type doesn't do anything other than make calls to something that has some utility for what you would need a phone for, like, taxi service and some messaging, right? Its slim body and compact size fit the palm of the hand, and its screen, given that it has an e ink display, looks like a piece of paper with pencil writings and icons on it. This decision allows for the absence of screen glare and blue light, which can lead to eye strain. Marco Lazik says optional lighting may be available too, so that users can read their messages and sift through their calls even at night or in the dark. So, like a phone version the simpler Kindles. Um, Designed straightforward, universal icons. So you got your phone, you got your email. I don't know what this universal icon is. And this is Waze, I believe. But yeah, you could understand that it's a little car. So you could click on it to get your taxi service. Um, Maps, Uber, Waze. Yeah, Waze right there. See, this is another thing: is if you can get it even in black and white, right? Like as nifty as Google Maps is, a simple black and white GPS display, that's totally usable. And if you're going for the minimalist aesthetic and you're trying to avoid the temptations of a normal phone, for whatever reason, you could do it in like a nice simple black and white. That would work. I like it. No camera, um, but has a touch screen display. Yeah, I think that something like this falls in that category where it does enough that people might actually want it. And then yeah, a little messaging app, backlighting, nice and small. Yeah, and you could do these like nice and small because you have a minimum amount of technology that you have to stuff into it. You know what I mean? And then the the if the humane AI pin type technology ever jumped off, you could combine this with like an AI platform to potentially do the other stuff that you don't want on your phone. But that's another tangent. I don't hate this idea. Like again, I think that your devices should be morning Pharaoh. Your devices should be for your utility and your needs, not the other way around. So yeah, I don't hate it. It would in the battery would probably last all week. You know what I mean? Morning, Jimbo. Yeah. Morning and all cosmetic. Yeah, and all those things. So yeah, I hope something like this works out. Just more options are create a better environment in my not so humble opinion. Speaking of AI, you like that transition? A little segue. ChatGPT for Omni just got a major upgrade on mobile. Now you can keep talking while using other apps. And this I think is pretty cool. The idea that like you can switch off it, right? Normally now you just have to keep it open. Um but being able to use it in conjunction like Spotify, like Audible, where I can shift to do other stuff while at the same time um continuing to hear the thing that I'm listening to. I find that an important feature because obviously. Um So yeah, I'm a fan of this. OpenAI has given its ChatGPT mobile app a major upgrade, but one you'd barely notice unless you went looking for it. Now you can continue talking to ChatGPT voice even when you leave the app and use other apps on your phone or if the screen goes off. To access this feature, go into settings, enable background conversations in the voice mode section, and then just start chatting with your voice of choice, although Sky is now gone. Big Cove guy here. This is likely in preparation for the launch of the GPT 4 Omni voice coming in the next few weeks and unveiled during the spring update. Unlike the current voice, which converts text to speech and then back again, GPT 4 voice for Omni voice works speech to speech directly. This is the difference between multimodality and like the standard models. Um, and like your GPT 4, right? If you used it in whatever, even if you were able to show it a picture in a multimodality in that way, then it has to be converted into text and then converts back. This is apparently going to be directly speech to speech, which what the Gemini model was built for, right? Like that kind of thing. It doesn't convert it into speech. It is direct one-to-one relationship. I mean, I converse with naturally the older version of the GPT voice, right? Like so this new thing should be even more, you know. Maybe I'll hook it up for this evening show. I'll fire up GPT and y'all can see it on screen and I can have a conversation with it and we'll do some science. 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you're watching on the YouTube, come join us here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Globus underscore the underscore elder. Uh, it'll be in the VOD. Sorry. Eve humanoid voice prompted to perform back to back multitasking. Oh, I know they wanted to be like friendly, but it's just again, it goes back to when I was a kid and my father, I was playing with Legos, right? And you got your little Lego minifigs with the two dots and the smile, right, on their face. And my father, like, talked about the idea of a science fiction story where the robots that were doing the robot uprising had that expression, right? That basic smile um at the same time that they were killing everyone, you know? And it's stuck with me ever since. So, whenever I see this type of thing, that's always in there. Right? The way in iRobot they were like expressive, I think that it would have been infinitely more terrifying if they just maintained this blank but seemingly happy expression while they were doing the iRoboting. Anywho, OpenAI backed robotics company 1X has released a video of a bunch of wheeled service robots seamlessly moving from one simple task to another as they tidy up an office space, prompted into action by a voice controlled natural language interface. Haloti Robotics was founded in 2014 to develop general purpose robots to work alongside humans in the workplace. Originally headquartered in Norway, the company set up a second base of operations in California in 2019, which is when we first came across a pre production prototype of a wheeled humanoid called Eve. And that's the thing. You can't really see it in any of these pictures, which I'm going to assume is intentional. Um, but they have a single leg, right, that goes down to like a Segway, right? A two wheel platform, very similar to a Segway. Um, Haloti became 1X and partnered with OpenAI in 2022 to combine robotics and AI and lay the foundation for embodied learning. Though the company does have a bipedal in the pipe as well as human-like hands, much of the development focus at the moment seems to be on training Eve to be useful around the workplace, where the bots will understand both natural language and physical space so they can do real tasks throughout the workplace and your world. And this came up last night when I was over at Talerx's, and he asked about humanoids, right? Humanoid robotics. And the idea that, like, in addition to, like, I think that the humanoid um arguments are overstated, right? I don't I just don't, right? I don't see the humanoid need for it to be in that two-legged, two-armed shape. And one of the things that was brought up by Tellerx and by others previously is the idea that, like, this could be seen as friendlier, right? Like that the humanoid shape could make people more comfortable. I don't know that that's the case, right? Um, there's less of an issue of uncanny valley when it doesn't, like, when you look at the spot dog, it might be a bit creepy, right? But it's not falling into that uncanny valley of something trying to be human. Even old Atlas, right? You never felt like it was trying to be human. Where New Atlas feels a bit more in that vein, and therefore makes its being able to stand up from the floor in the way that it does that much more creepy, right? The fact that it like it has a head, and that head can spin 360 degrees. um some of us are going to connect that back to, like, what you call it, the not the Omen. um you know what I'm talking about, when her head spun around and she spat pea soup at people. I don't think humans are an optimal design either. Exorcist, thank you, Jimbo. Yeah, that Exorcist, right? So that head spinning around, that connects with a bunch of us, like, through the media and whatnot, to that kind of making us uncomfortable area. Um, I think there are advantages with not making the robot look human, beyond just the functional ones. And I think the functional, again, I think the functional arguments are overstated. But I digress. Back in March, the company advised that it had managed to develop an autonomous model that crammed a large number of tasks into a single behavioral AI model, including taking items out of a shopping bag and then deciding where to put them, wiping up spills, and folding shirts. 1X noted that improving the behavior of a single task within a relatively small multitask model could adversely impact the behaviors of other tasks within that model. This could be fixed by increasing the parameter count, but at the expense of increased training time and slower development. Instead, building a voice controlled natural language interface into the mix allows operators to change short horizon capabilities across small models into longer ones. These single task models can then be merged into goal oriented models as development moves toward a unified model with the ultimate aim of automating high level actions using AI. This sounds kind of like the thing that I've been talking about with the whole, a bunch of narrow AIs and a governor AI, right? Rather than trying to make the thing do everything, it has a bunch of narrow models to choose from, and it chooses the ones that are appropriate to the task. Morning towards night. Happy Wednesday, my dude. Uh, Directing robots with this high level language interface offers a new user experience for data collection. Instead of using VR to control a single robot, an operator could direct multiple robots with high level language and let the low level policies execute low level actions to realize these high level goals. because high level. Ow! Dude. Y'all don't understand. Homie weighs 1,000 pounds. I'm not joking that he weighs 1,000 pounds. And so when he attempts to jump up into my lap, but doesn't get all the way up there, and his claws go into my leg, and then his ass goes back towards the floor. It's love. What is love? Stampy, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. No more. And then you get up here and you chew on my hands. Go on. Go on. You big moose. Okay. So yeah, so each group of robots have a specialized task. Each individual robot has a specialized task. I try to jump on my back if I bend over and claw their way down. I luckily don't have to deal with that because if this dude jumped on my back, it'd be RKO out of nowhere, and like it would be it would be bad. 1X states that the Eve humanoids in the video above are not teleoperated. All actions are controlled by a neural network. There are no computer generated graphics or cuts, video speedups, or scripted trajectory playback. Next step will be to integrate vision language models such as GPT-4 Omni, Villa, and Gemini Vision into the system. Okay. Um, I will, because I'm posting the morning news to YouTube and I don't want to run afoul of their copyright system. I'm not going to play the video now. I'm going to be playing the video later during the evening stream, which doesn't get posted to YouTube. If you want to watch this video, it's contained within that link. Um, Otherwise, come back at 5 p.m. Eastern and we'll watch it together. AI backed robots roll through Seattle construction site, speeding build process and improving safety. All jobs will be automated. Yeah. Yeah, that whole and it, respect. I will give respect to the engineers over at Tesla who took that idea of Optimus from a dude in a suit to actually a pretty impressive robot, right? Like, good job to them. And what did Elon do? Tell them what he wanted to see? A couple of high tech workers are, these are robots. Little Wally looking Jim Jams. Didge, from Nextera Robotics. A couple of high tech workers are now part of the crew helping to construct a new residential tower in Seattle's Belltown neighborhood. They roll through the place, taking a bunch of pictures, uploading everything to an artificial intelligence platform, and in the process, speed up the project and improve safety along the way. Skanska, the project development and construction company with offices in Seattle, is using 2 autonomous robots from Boston based Nextera Robotics as it helps build out K, a 31-story apartment building. The pilot program is the first of its kind on the West Coast. Through the use of high resolution 360-degree photography, the Dig robots give architects and Skanska development team near constant eyes on a project site. Stuart Germain, this is Stuart. Hi, Stuart. Skanska's Seattle based National Director of Innovation said if a human was sent out to capture the images, it would take 40 hours per week. The Dig bots free up those humans for other tasks. And Germain said Nextera's technology takes four things his company is already doing on job sites and rolls them into a single platform. I thought it had a lot of potential to add value to the project team, save time, save effort, and get some better outcome by managing our data stream in a much more cohesive manner. Excuse me, not fashion, manner. Photography is the leading concern, according to Germain, and it provides immediate value to the project team. The autonomous bots can navigate the site, climbing stairs without feet, right? The going back to that humanoid model question. No feet required. No legs, no bipedal locomotion. Do. The autonomous bots can navigate the site, climb stairs, and capture high def images from the same location every time they leave the charger. We do that a lot in most of our job sites, but it's usually a project engineer with a GoPro on their hard hat or a camera on a stick. They walk around the job site as often as they can and try to stand in the same place as much as possible to capture information. But if they're humans and they also have a lot of other work responsibilities. The photography is loaded into Nextera's AI powered system to help address three other concerns, including tracking progress of a build, quality assurance, quality control, and job site safety compliance. So, like, right, this here with the you can do your best, and some people can do very, very well. At taking a photograph from the same location over a period of, X amount of time, right? Um, the robot will always be able to go back to the exact same position. And when you're taking a picture of something that's developing over time, then getting that exact same position is going to get you the most accurate information. So, yeah, that's simply something that humans, generally speaking, are not going to be capable of. And the humans who are capable of getting. No, I don't know why you're hurting me today, but we're going to solve that. I'm getting an early Father's Day gift. You have to show up. Hopefully, it will be here in time today, but you'd have to show up for the late stream to find out. Anywho, um, So yeah, no, this is cool. Instead of taking a bunch of photos with your iPad or trying to do some sketches over a Zoom call or something like that, you can pull it right up and it's all 360. You can pan around, zoom out, just like being on site doing a site walk. Uh, on the safety side, Nextera AI analyzes the imagery for lapses in proper job site conduct and compliance with regulations. The software can spot whether a worker is not wearing gloves or improperly using a ladder, and it will notice an uncovered hole in the floor or inadequate lighting and flag such things in a direct report to safety personnel. This is huge. Y'all don't even understand. Y'all don't even understand the way that people don't give a shit about other people on a job site. And often don't give a shit about themselves on a job site. What up, Fire Resist? Hard hats. I'm tired of telling people to put on hard hats. I'm telling you, right? The idea, like the casual nature in which people will drop tubular objects on the ground, right? There's one thing called armored cable. You may have seen something like this. The electrical wires are inside, and then it's got a nice shiny metal coating on the outside. In order to get to those wires, you have to trim off some of um, that armor for the cable. Um, and then people will just drop that on the ground. Well, it rolls. So if someone's walking and carrying something and can't see the thing on the ground and then they step on it, it also happens when you're cutting PVC, right? For smaller pipes, whether they're, the electrical PVC or plumbing PVC. Like, people just get a little too goddamn casual with safety, right? And don't get me started on ladders. I have seen people do just, but it works. Okay, dude. Jesus Christ. I'm not your OSHA. I just want you to survive. Because if you go to the hospital, one, I have to drive you, and two, then you're not here to do the job to move it on to the next level, and we're not going to get paid. So I don't know how many people without tie offs on roofs. It's a roof. No, I'm good. It gets in my way. Oh, dude, just stop. Just stop. So this is cool, right? We got robot safety. Somebody's gonna be pissed off, but I like it. Uh do 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 do. 25-year-old Anthropic employee says she may. Now, there's a qualifier in here. We always look for qualifiers, right? Media literacy is looking for mays, coulds, things of that nature. That this is, right? You know, I may become a billionaire in the next half hour. It's highly unlikely, but it may happen. Weasel word. 25-year-old Anthropic employee says she may only have 3 years left to work because AI will replace her. It's not just entry level. It's not just entry level workers who have never experienced a tech boom that are fearing their looming replacement thanks to AI. Now, even C suite executives in the know are predicting their demise. Edival Balwit, the chief of staff of Anthropic, one of AI's hottest startups, has joined the growing list of senior tech professionals to weigh into our existential crisis. With Jeffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI, decided he had to blow the whistle on the technology he helped develop. I'm 25. The next 3 years might be the last few years that I work. The Gen Zer wrote in a personal essay in Palladium. I'm not ill, nor am I becoming a stay at home mom, nor have I been so financially fortunate to be on the brink of voluntary retirement. Instead, working at the Google and Amazon backed $18 billion plus AI firm has cemented her belief about her future. About the future. Her job, along with most others, is destined for obsolescence, and anyone who thinks otherwise is in denial. Thank you. And scene. It sounds like the only jobs that will survive are middle management. No, middle management's done. Like, because middle management basically functions as two things. You're doing PR to the employees to get them motivated to squeak out a little bit of extra work, and you're acting as a flow chart to take any information from the top and distribute it. Middle management is the easiest job that can be replaced by AI and automation. Sounds like marketing. It's going to get rid of jobs, but she works for an AI company saying it's going to work really well. No, that's fair, right? Like, that is also something to always keep in mind. Not like keep the tuner on it, right? something to be aware of, but not necessarily to defer to. I have often heard from some of the larger names on this platform inviting New York Times reporters onto their show to talk about how AI is just a scam to sell more cloud computing, right? It's important to temper our, you know, our, what you call it, not expectations, but our cynicism. It's important to temper our cynicism when we look at these things. I mean, it could be marketing, but it's also could be exactly what's happening, right? I am strongly of the opinion that automation is definitely, at the very least, going to come faster to people's jobs than people are prepared for. Everyone tends to think that their job is somehow special and cannot be automated. And I am here to tell you that it can. Now, is it going to happen in the next 3 years? It depends on a lot of factors. One of the interesting things about like prophecy and prediction in that kind of regard is that the very act of telling people about it changes its probabilities, right? And when you tell people about it on a public platform like what is this, Fortune, then it changes those probabilities in a variety of different ways, right? This article is going to cause some people to do exactly what you're talking about, Jimbo, and invest in getting Anthropic or some other AI stuff into their systems, which is going to speed along the replacement of those jobs with automation, for better or worse, depending on the capacity of the system and the job involved. There's also going to be people who are going to read this article and become more resistant, that they will defend to the death the right for human beings to do middle management, right? Um, it's how do all those things play out? It's impossible to say. It's the difference in the world. This is to me is the value of pop culture, sci-fi kind of things. We are not going to get Skynet because James Cameron made the Terminator, right? Skynet is out there as a signpost to indicate that if we head in this direction, we're going to get a bad outcome. So we can divert off of that because that's been added to the public zeitgeist. Um, had he not done that, then it kind of leaves that area open that we could definitely walk into that area. So I'm not saying, I never say that, the sci-fi and the fiction doesn't have value. It's just important to understand the context that it exists in, right? Asimov's three laws of robotics, which is for, unfortunately, a lot of people, the extent of what they have read by Asimov is they have heard of the three laws of robotics and looked them up on Wikipedia, but never actually read the books where these ideas are explored. You know what I mean? I'm fine. I'd love to live like the Jetsons. The only issue is that we live in a capitalist hellscape, and there's not enough social safety nets for the amount of people who will become jobless, which is 100% my opinion as well, and why I'm less concerned about disinformation and misinformation, and more concerned about what's going to happen to the people when they lose jobs. That is my number one priority. And how do we get there? The media, such as it is, generally focuses on the misinformation and disinformation piece rather than what's going to happen to people's jobs once they get automated. And if you think about it, you could probably understand the reasons why. Just hope it's slower than 3 years. They like to prepare a bit. It's 3 years. They're saying 3 years for their job, and we don't know what their job is, right? They're the chief of staff. Well, actually, we do know. Sorry. The chief of staff at Anthropic. This is functionally a middle management position, right? There are some jobs that are going to take longer to automate than others. This is not one of them. This is a middle management position, right? It's a pays well, but it's a middle management. You don't, you know, you get orders from on high and then execute it. Your job is very replaceable with AI. What are the governments going to prep for this scenario? Jobageddon in July 2020 showed us how unprepared they were. They are doing nothing. They are they're doing nothing. They are bringing Dr. Fauci in front of Congress to call him Mister for some reason. Right? We don't. The United States government is not a serious group of people. Uh, it's all shenanigans. I don't even know what to say. Yep. I stand at the edge of a technological development that seems likely should it arrive to end employment as I know it. The general reaction to language models among knowledge workers is one of denial. And this is the other thing you don't want to do. And what I recommend that people do is if you are feeling denial, if you get that in your gut, that you're at your job and either it occurs to you or somebody says something about automation like I'm doing now and it makes you upset. Okay? I don't want you to get upset. Upset, has limited utility. What I want you to do is think and I want you to prepare. So instead of when I say something like all jobs will be automated and your gut reaction is my job can't be automated because blah 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 blah. All I want you to do is for your own edification is to figure out what it would take to actually automate your job. Right? One, it's going to give you a better conception of how it is that you do what you do and everything else. And it's going to put you in a better place to understand that when your job does get automated, you're going to be able to see the steps coming. And conceivably, it could even put you in a position where you learn to use the AI tools. So, as the people who are in denial and are resistant to this change that will occur, you'll be able to stay at your job for a longer period of time. Of the AI just peacefully seizes power and gives us nice little lives. That's the hope, baby. That is the hope. We use AI in government work in PA now. Our use case is having it look over newly written policy and law and make sure the language matches up with existing policy and law without conflict. My actual job, the data entry could be automated and I could be left to dealing with the people directly. That is a place people are going to want to see other people as the front facing avatar for the artificial intelligence. That's going to extend for some amount of time because for some reason we do like dealing with people. It's possible that it will actually improve when AI starts doing all the work and all you have to do is talk to the people. The problem with talking to people is that everyone is pressured. Everyone is in a hurry. Everyone has to, I got my own shit to do, this kind of thing. When the AI is doing all the work and all you have to do is just talk to somebody, might make things a lot easier. Qualifier might, right? I'm not a fan of talking to people either, Jimbo. It's just I'm good at it. Um, I was telling someone to write their job in a flowchart as a quick way to see how easy it is to automate a job or task. Yeah, that's it. If your job can be converted into a flowchart, then strap in, baby. Because In the meantime, yeah, you could pay people living wages, but again, that's a short-term solution to a long-term problem to which I only see one good solution for, and that's where you disconnect resources from production, right? And yes, it can be done, and I don't want to hear any reason why it can't because I'm not rehashing the same nonsense again. Specifically, me in social programs, a person will always be needed to either go out to say the homeless camps or be in an office for folks who can't tech. Especially that first part, right? That is a place where the human facing is going to last the longest because I can imagine how people in a homeless camp would feel if a robot started rolling into their space and then started asking them a series of questions, right? The distance between like and I don't know, like we could turn around tomorrow and GPT-5 could be or at least sound as empathetic as fuck, right? Like and it could make a natural rapport with people that much easier. Um but generally speaking right now, I think that the people in poor circumstances are going to want that human expression of empathy and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So I think that that front facing kind of thing, but it would be more in line with all that, right? Like you're going out there and you got your tablet and you're just taking notes and in whatever way you write them and then it gets converted into text and sent off to the AI um so that like it minimizes the amount of time that people are in those circumstances because you never know when it's going to rain, dude. Basic needs shouldn't be luxury items. I don't know what that means. I don't understand what you mean by luxury items. Um, you're saying the housing and food aren't luxury items. I understand that. But I'm saying, what do you think is luxury items are? Like, I don't know. Like a gold toilet? I'm with you. Oh, I got it. I misunderstood what you said. Basic needs shouldn't be luxury items. Right. Housing shouldn't be a luxury or shouldn't be considered a luxury item. Um yeah, no. Like again, my framework for the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I think it's the bottom three rungs of the pyramid, right? Are they include internet, they include electricity, they include housing, they include all the things, not only to have a subsistence existence, but to have a comfortable one. And you need access to the internet in order to access all the things that are going to be on the internet or that are already on the internet, right? If you want to apply for services right now, you generally they say, "Oh, just go to the library," right? But you're also eliminating funding for a library, so how's that going to work when I got to go across the friggin' city to use the friggin' library computer? No, no, that's something that people need in this day and age. Whatever the technological level of the system that you're operating in determines the floor on what your needs are. Right? It's subjective. I would love to see more AI in my job because of how overworked social workers are. Too many people slip through the cracks because the worker has 500 cases, so mistakes will happen. Absolutely, right? Absolutely. And like one of the things is that we were if we were improving the amount of resources that we're generating through automation and also eliminating a lot of the work that can be done by automation within the office, people can spend more time doing people things with other people. So even though like I have the long term view. There are incremental steps that we can take, right? The goal zero would not be to, oh, we have automated all this stuff, so now we can let these people go because we don't, we can reduce our overhead. No, those people can then go and do the thing that they went to school for and train themselves for. And the whole reason that you got into public service and social work in the first place was not to type reports, right? The reason a person becomes an artist is not to market myself and to figure out my cost benefit analysis of any particular project. It's to make art. The automation should be doing all these kind of things. And yes, I include the AI art kind of things in there. There are many things you can do with that speed the process of your acts of creation. So again, I don't want to hear anything about that either. Work front end desk Monday. Dude submitted an address change Jesus Christ, 5 times and his renewal twice. And because his caseworker had 572 cases, it never got sorted, so he lost a month of food stamp. Imagine not having money for food for a month, right? Assuming that this person had some preparation done in whatever capacity, because you can build up a stock of non-perishables and like that. But even then, just try it, right? You can experience that kind of thing firsthand. Don't try to not buy any food for the longest period that you can from this moment. Your only operating budget is whatever food you have in this house, and it really brings that shit into perspective really fast. One sad thing I've heard is resistance, because what would we do without jobs? Anything we want, explore the nature of existence, create. Exactly. It's comparing the artist who, like, we watch a video about the one guy who was talking about the meaning crisis, right? Where they, oh, it's a crisis of meaning because the AI can do my job, and that kind of stuff. It's because you've attached your meaning to um to labor for value, right? Like, is then I am going to do this because it makes me money, right? As opposed to attaching um your perception of your own well-being to doing the things that you would want to do. Actually garden, right? Like, there are a whole bunch of things that are become available to you. What do rich people who don't have to work do, right? Like, do they have an existential crisis of meaning, or do they fuck off to Ibiza? You know what I mean? Yeah, Tinker and Handyman. Zero. I can kind of feel like you would be like one of those people building uh, little bespoke robots in your backyard. You know what I mean? You would just have like little robots running around and bringing you the wrench to do stuff. This is the vibe I get. What up, T1? I could stand to plant more seeds of vengeance. I mean, that's an option, right? Yeah, they're miserable all the time on their yachts. I'm sure they're miserable. Uh where were we? Anything that a remote worker can do, AI will do better. Researchers shows that the world of work is in for some serious upheaval. The investment bank Goldman Sachs estimated that AI could replace the equivalent of 300 million full-time jobs globally in the coming years. In the UK, the government is preparing for a scenario in which advances in automation will lead to increasing unemployment and poverty by 2030. It's really interesting that they are preparing for that scenario while at the same time, Jeffrey Hinton says in a recommendation to the UK government that you need UBI, and then their responses were, "We have no plans to implement the UBI." It's really like, yeah. Meanwhile, a McKinsey study has warned that AI could force nearly 12 million U.S. workers to switch jobs by 2030, with admin, manufacturing, and sales workers among those most likely to be impacted. And, and what are they going to switch jobs to? What are they going to do? Just learn to code? Given the current trajectory of the technology, I expect AI to first excel at any kind of online work. Essentially, anything that a remote worker can do, AI will do better. The jobs that AI will kill first: copywriting, not the writing of copy. Copywriting, not copyright as in IP. Text preparation. Yeah, text preparation is getting murdered right now. Customer service, getting the anecdotal stories in that this is happening. Software development and contract law. Generally, tasks that involve reading, analyzing, and synthesizing information, and then and then generating content based on it, seem ripe for replacement by language models. I understand that people have an objection to the idea of content, and I feel that, right? Like it's a commoditization of things that people have a human connection and like that. But I think that by broadening this term content to include, this stuff of like text preparation is generating content, and that content is replaceable by I think it helps to draw that in. So it's a double edged sword, right? I understand both sides of that particular argument. AI cannot, the robots can. The robots can fold your laundry. It's only a matter of time. I imagine the most difficult part is like reaching into the washer and pulling the laundry out and then putting it into the dryer. There's a whole bunch of steps involved. It's possible. It's absolutely possible. You could have a robot that just does that. You know what I mean? Um, I don't think that you will. I think the entire need for the general purpose robot is that you're not going to be able to afford the well, what afford? I don't know. I don't say it's not particularly efficient to make a bunch of individual robots that are very specialized. General purpose tends to do better, but I could even be stuck in old mode thinking about that. Like I said, you're not going to be able to afford the robots. The entire purpose is for the robots to be fundamentally free. Purpose made washer dryer for a simpler function. I'm It would take a minute and some engineering, but it'd be interesting to think about if it's possible to make a single unit, like maybe a front load washer dryer, um that does both washer and dryer in the same device, and then um would be able to like dump it out into a basket that was put there by a robot. What up, Adric? Drink that coffee. I'm with you. I am not a morning person either. In spite of my cheery disposition at 7:30 in the morning, I am not a morning person. I do this for you. I am what has been referred to as a miserable cuss. But I enjoy being here. That usually related to going to a job. This is a job such as it is that I enjoy. Welcome back, Stampy. No climbing on the desk. There's too much for you to get into. Oh, regulated industries like medicine and civil service
My circuitry's 12 years out of date. I can't keep up with today's high-speed, top-of-the-line kids.
Red Hobbit gifting one to Adric. Thank you very much, homie. I appreciate you. So yeah. Civil service, what Zero was speaking to earlier, will have human involvement for longer, but even there, I expect an increasingly small number of human workers who are increasingly supplemented by AI systems working alongside them. Mass unemployment could lead to an aristocratic life for all. It's an interesting way to say fully automated luxury gay space communism. Ballwit's not the first to predict that AI will eliminate the need to work at all. There will come a point where no job is needed. You can have a job if you want to have a job for personal satisfaction, but the AI will be able to do everything. And this is Elon Musk, right? Like Elon Musk has said we need UBI, yada yada yada, and he's a dipshit. Similarly, Baldwin paints an optimistic picture of how unemployment could look in years to come. It's not unemployment, right? This is the whole thing. And inshallah, as the kids say, Zero. Uh, Imagine that kind of free time instead of working until we die. 100%. UBI is so obvious, even Elon can get it. Exactly. Unemployment could look in years to come, and it's good news for those who'd love to live like the ton in Bridgerton or Downton Abbey's Crawley family. What up, Larry? In the early modern era, landed gentry and similar were essentially unemployed. Instead of commuting to a desk 5 days a week, they filled their days with hobbies, balls. You want to fill your day with balls? And time with their loved ones. If we do manage to obtain a world where people have their material needs met but also have no need to work, aristocrats could be a relevant comparison. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's your job. Job? In this economy? Speaking of, Microsoft takes its AI push to customer service call center. Microsoft said Tuesday will introduce new artificial intelligence tools for customer service call centers. Microsoft, which has backed ChatGPT creator OpenAI, is taking AI technology into a number of fields of the business world with what it calls Copilot technology, which is capable of summarizing emails and crafting PowerPoint slides as part of the company's Office software package. But by taking Copilot to call centers, Microsoft will be putting its technology into a field where it's not the dominant player, hoping to gain ground against such rivals as Salesforce and Zoom. For customer support tasks, the new AI tool will be able to scour a company's help manuals and materials to train chatbots with better answers to questions that customers might ask in the chat window. Again, if your job relies on a knowledge base, either get really good with AI as it relates to that so you can last the longest and maybe get managing the AI job in your company, or find something else to do. Like, if I get an email from the state going, we're closing the assistance office because we're just covering everyone's basic needs automatically, I'm not going to be mad. I'm having a party. Yeah, we don't need you to come in. What, on Monday? No, at all. We've fixed poverty. Oh no, what will I do for labor? How will I value my time? What about all the days at which I went to work? What shall I do? What shall I do? I might even do fishing, right? Not catching. I don't particularly care about catching, but I used to enjoy fishing. Good morning, Reed. Real benefit is expected to be human customer service agents fielding phone calls. The agents are often sitting in a computer with multiple applications open at once, many of them outdated and slow, while trying to find the information to help the customer. Comstock said the Microsoft tools will aim to take in all of that information so that the customer service agents can navigate the apps they need with natural language to get the answers faster and easier. And if you can't see how this process will remove the human being from the process, I don't know what to tell you, right? You have a knowledge base, and basically, as a customer service agent, you're fielding the phone call and working in the knowledge base to find the information, and then you're going to say whatever it is that's in the knowledge base. You're not going to be creative. You might be creative in how you say it, but you have to conform to certain guidelines in order to get off the phone fast and take the next phone call and yada yada yada. And so in that kind of circumstance, you're done. There's no reason to keep people. And I understand people get value out of being a customer service agent and helping people. People will find value in whatever labor that they have to do. It sucks. It's a bullshit job. It sucks ass. And I say this as having done it for, I've done a lot. And I can tell you that the only thing worse than customer service in that realm is telemarketing. Yeah, you like helping people? Go help some folks who need some help. Let the AI help people unplug and replug in their modem. The service space is unfortunately just rife with toil and drudgery. Right there. No more toil and drudgery. There are tons of tools, and they have to use lots of processes just to do the most basic sort of tasks. It's a brutal experience. And so our goal is to help them in the flow of their work to reduce that toil and drudgery. And finally, yay! The brain can store nearly 10 times more data than previously thought, study confirms. Scientists harnessed a new method to precisely measure the amount of information the brain can store, and it could help advance our understanding of learning. Excuse me. The brain may be able to hold nearly 10 times more information than previously thought. Similar to computers, the brain's memory storage is measured in bits, and the number of bits it can hold rests on the connections between its neurons, known as synapses. Historically, scientists thought synapses came in a fairly limited number of sizes and strengths, and this in turn limited the brain's storage capacity. However, this theory has been challenged in recent years, and the new study further backs the idea that the brain can hold about tenfold more than once thought. In the new study, researchers developed a highly precise method to assess the strength of connections between neurons in part of a rat's brain. These synapses form the basis of learning and memory, as brain cells communicate at these points and thus store and share information. By better understanding how synapses strengthen and weaken, and by how much, the scientists
You'll be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war.
King James, 17 months. I appreciate you, homie. Your brain. Where was I? The analysis published April 23rd in the Journal of Neural Computation. Elder Gang. demonstrates how this new method could not only increase our understanding of learning, but also of aging and diseases that erode connections in the brain. These approaches get at the heart of the information processing capacity of neural circuits. Being able to estimate how much information can potentially be represented is an important step towards understanding the capacity of the brain to perform complex computations. So, yeah, we just 10x the brain. I mean, the brain was already 10xing, and we just realized how to do it. Okay, don't run off. Slow down. Slow down. Slow down. Stick around for the raid. After the raid, you can run off where you see fit. Part of the social contract. What you doing? Oh, cool. We're gonna raid Dr. Yasmin, and he just got raided, so we'll get to do a double raid. That'll be fun. Slow down in this economy. I like a good double raid. A little poly raiding. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you were watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit that bell to stay notified. If you want to hang out with us in the evening, I will be live today at 5 p.m. Eastern. For those of you on Twitch, I'm sure I will see some of you in chats later on today. And as always, I appreciate everyone who comes through, everyone who hangs out, everyone who participates in chat. You make this easy, and I couldn't do it without you. So, in the meantime, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you've forgotten. Always remember that Shaggy loves you. So do I. Be great.